as a mother, to be able to experience unconditional love. When she looks at me, I'm perfect to her. I mean, imagine being in the newspaper, getting double, and nobody celebrates you. I made a lot of mistakes. I had to learn the hard way with a lot of times.
Man, what's up, y'all? It's Freddie Stevenson from Trials of Triumph. And I just want to take the time out to thank everybody for supporting last week's episode with my mother, Pastor Sylvia Stevenson. You guys know how much that episode meant to me, and you guys have supported to the fullest. We have over 100K views across platforms, and that's all because of you guys. But we have another great episode coming up this week with Jermisha McRae, and she's the embodiment of what Trials of Triumph stands for. Her story, the journey that she's going through, all of the adversity and everything that she's overcome to get to where she is today, you definitely want to tune in for it because it is a powerful story. But first, I want to thank our sponsors, Concord Coffee and Indie Atlantic Films. But let's get into this episode. Shoot, I appreciate you pulling up on us.
For sure. Thanks for the invite.
Man, we had the opportunity to meet, was it 2 years ago now?
Yeah.
Maybe a year ago.
Year and a half.
And just when I had the opportunity to meet you, I was like, man, your story is so powerful, and you know that your stories went viral online, and just I feel like it's a story that needs to be heard,
For sure.
by the world, and I feel like God's positioning you to tell your story, not just around here in the community, but share across the country, impact lives across the world.
Sure.
I truly believe that, things that we go through in our life, it can seem like a mess at the time, but God will use it as a message for the world. So I appreciate you putting up on it.
Thank y'all for the invite, man. It means a lot.
I wanted to talk about, growing up and where'd you grow up and how was life growing up for you?
Yeah, so I grew up in New Smyrna Beach, Florida.
Okay.
It's near Daytona Beach. A lot of people, we're famous for the beach. And growing up, it was kind of like bittersweet, right? So the sweet part was I grew up with both of my parents. Grew up, my dad done work hard. I seen him start they had started on a business from ground up, working for like scrap metal and stuff like that. So I was able to see that go-getter and never really had my lights off and stuff like that, worried about food, we were taken care of. And so grew up playing basketball. It kind of changed my life. And it was also like my outlet too, The bitter part about my childhood was I had intercourse with a lot of my family, like 8 or 9 members from my family molested. And so that was a part of my journey that I didn't even speak of until I got like grown. So I held all that in as a child, and I used basketball as like my scapegoat. Like that was how I was able to get out those circumstances and kind of, not think about it.
Do you remember what age it started?
Yeah. So I would say it started probably like 5th grade.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? 5th grade going into 6th. And I had a lot of memory blockage from even remembering myself as a child because of like the trauma that it caused me on the inside. Yeah. You
said sports kind of helped you deal with that, but still those are traumatic situations.
Yeah.
Especially, for anybody, but especially a child. Was there ever a point where you thought about coming out and telling people when you're going through it?
Man, so I grew up, it was real strict, right? So my family, we was raised in the church. So honestly, my daddy ain't play the radio. So when it come to me getting in trouble with different things, I was a little afraid to speak of those type of things. I thought that it would be my fault. I thought that I would get in trouble. And so a lot of stuff I just didn't talk about until later on when I became an adult and I realized that I needed counseling. I had a couple mental breakdowns to where I thought I was going to lose my mind. And I actually was placed into a mental institution. And at that moment, I realized that what happened to me was not my fault. And what happened to me was something that I need to talk about to set myself free.
When you're going through this and you're playing ball, and the church for a lot of people is supposed to be that place of hope.
Oh, yeah.
For you, was that the case at the time?
I'm gonna be honest, even the church is bittersweet, right? So I'm a church girl. My dad was a preacher. My family, my grandmother was a missionary. And my family played a big part in our church and growing up. So I would say I needed the foundation to know that there was a God, but I didn't discover God until I left home. So when I left home, it was because people would say one thing, but they would be a different way.
Yeah.
So I was able to see the true colors of people and how close they really was to God. And I was able to understand that everybody who say they love God ain't really with God. And for me, because of the molestation and stuff like that, I turned to women. So women was who I dated because of, you know, how I felt concerning men. And, you know, getting stripped of everything, you know, feeling less than who I was and feeling kind of like I was just a piece of meat to men. It was hard for me to find that connection with a man. So for me, I turned to women. When I did that, you know, my family disowned me. You know, they wouldn't support me with basketball. You know, I was in newspapers. I was Volusia County Player of the Year, and I did that by myself, you know. And so at that point, it was like, if that's your God, I don't want him. So I went on a journey to search and find God for myself.
All right. Wow. So, like, you said your family, they turned their back on you. So how was it, you know, at this point when you're doing your thing on the court?
Yeah.
How was the support?
So it was a lot of times to where the coaches I had was my support, my teammates was my support, the people that I gained to know and throughout the game was really what I considered my family. They would come to like maybe a senior night. They might come to 1 or 2 games. But outside of that, most of the times I looked in the stands, I didn't have family. And so, I mean, imagine being in the newspaper, getting double, and nobody celebrates you. And so that's why now it doesn't matter to me if people celebrate, people recognize me or not. So it kind of worked for my good, but it hurt me at the time. Because I think kids need support. And honestly, if I had the support that I should have had, I probably could have went so much further with that. But God had other plans, and it still worked out for me.
Were you still living with your parents at the time?
So I ended up, like, my sophomore year, I left home. Prior to that, I ran away, and they made a big deal about it. It was like, hey, you know, I got to wait till I turn 18, all this stuff. And I just ended up leaving. I remember the day that I left home, and I've been back and forth, you know, but I remember the first time I left home, packed my stuff. They were basically like, look, if you're going to be gay in my house, you're going to abide by my rules. Like, it was just getting to the point to where I couldn't live in prison. And so I never really seen nobody stand up to my dad. And I was like, well, you know, if y'all feel this strong about me, then why don't you say you got power like the Bible say, then you take it away. You stop me from feeling how I feel, because I can't change how I feel. And so once we, you know, confronted that was a weird thing that I knew scripture too. And because of that, God had blessed me with a knowledge that I didn't even read scriptures that I even was able to tell him, because the Bible also says, don't provoke your child to wrath. Many times we say, hey, you know, we're supposed to honor our mother and our father, which is very true. But also for parents, we can't provoke our kids to do something. And so at that point, I felt provoked. And so I was just willing to risk it all, live on the streets. I've stayed in the back of abandoned buildings, motels. I've stayed at people's houses in the projects and stuff like that, on couches. My friends helped me out. I stayed from here to there, honestly, throughout my high school and different places and stuff like that. It was crazy.
All right. And it's tough. Going through this, you know, ultimately, while you have aspirations, you know, set a lot of big goals for yourself, when did things kind of shift for you mentally? Because you're having success on the court, but you're dealing with so much behind the scenes. That's tough for any person.
Yeah, it was. I made a lot of mistakes. I had to learn the hard way with a lot of times. I probably got about 9-10 mug shots from decisions that I made, fighting or, you know, getting caught with certain things. And I think those moments changed me more than anything, because I had to make a decision whether I'm going to be defined by my circumstances or I'm going to get it out the mud. I'm going to figure out a way, you know, and to make something of my life. And I think basketball was that key for me to use. It wasn't just me hooping. It was like basketball was teaching me life lessons. The coaches that I had actually helped me to see something bigger. That was my ticket out for me. Like, that was my only way out, or I would have either been in the streets or in jail.
Did you continue playing after high school?
I did continue playing. So I originally went to Indian River, Fort Pierce, and my freshman year. And then I left and went to Palm Beach and redshirted because I had a knee injury. And then I ended up going to Pensacola State. And when I went to Pensacola, I actually got kicked out of school. So at that point, I was being recruited by Auburn. You know, I was finna, you know, make something happen. And, man, I remember my coach coming down and saying, hey, I know you ain't gonna understand this, because I was making bad decisions. I felt like I just knew it all, and I was doing my own thing, not realizing that my decisions had consequences. And she kicked me off, and I think that was a defining moment for me to be like, you know what, I'm gonna have to change this, or I'm gonna lose more than I win.
I want to dive into that a little bit, because for most people, just in general, like historically, like sports, for a lot of people that come from environments where they're dealing with a lot of things behind the scenes, that's the outlet.
Yeah.
And not just the outlet, a way that you can change the course of your life forever.
Sure.
Get ahead financially and change generations. Oh, yeah. Once your dream comes to an end, what's going on, in your mind?
Yeah. So at that time, man, I was just honestly just trying to survive, like the next moment, because I knew, because of not having that support system, that I was all I had. So when I actually got kicked out, I stayed up there for a little bit, slept in my car for a while, got me a motel, tried to get me a job, figure some stuff out, and then eventually my uncle, he actually came up there and got me. And so when I went back home, I got a job at Denny's, and I just started grinding, and I knew I wanted to get back on the court. So I took a year off. I finished my AA at Daytona State, and then I ended up getting the opportunity to finish playing basketball and get my degree at Weber International. Okay. And so when the Lord opened up that door for me, it was like, man, I took off running. Yeah. I was ready. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I had sat down. The Lord, hey, man, he set me down. And when I got that chance, man, I made it happen. And I ended up graduating with my degree in business from Weber.
Did you have any pro aspirations after you graduated?
I did. I actually went to Texas to a combine, a WNBA combine. I had an opportunity to go overseas. But because of not having that support, I ain't want to get stuck over there and not be able to have that. So I ended up hanging that up, and I found a love for kids. I remember being in Lake Wells, because Weber was over there by Lake Wells in Babson Park. Mm-hmm. And so many kids in the neighborhood had nowhere to play. They didn't have guidance. They didn't have monetary ways to even make it happen. And so for me, I'll get out there and hoop with them a lot. And something was just like, man, let's start a team. Yeah. And that's where I switched lanes and found the same love that I found when I was playing in coaching.
Man, that's a blessing.
Yeah.
I want to go through that process, just because you making a huge impact in the community. But even before you get to that point, like, you found your love for the kids in the community, but there's still trauma that you have to overcome yourself. I don't feel like everybody, I feel like we've all been through something, and some people don't even realize it. True. I told my wife, I feel like everybody, even if you think you don't need therapy, I feel like everybody should go through therapy. For sure. Because there's things that, I've dealt with over the course of my life that I didn't realize were issues until I got around other people. And I'm like, yo, that's not, that's not not normal. Yeah. And I thought, it's normal where I come from. So going through that process and how were you able to heal?
Yeah. I heal as I went. Okay. And I didn't heal from things I didn't confront. Okay. So it wasn't until I confronted. So throughout my collegiate career, when I had got kicked out of Pensacola, when I went back, I started getting counseling. And I met a lady at Daytona State College and a guy who actually just walked me through some stuff, right? And helped me figure out that what the problem was. Because sometimes, even though we struggle with certain mental issues or trauma and stuff like that, we still have the opportunity to be the best version of ourselves, despite what life has dealt with us, right? And so I had to weave through some stuff in my life and come to a conscious decision that I'm the problem. I got to figure it out. I got to do the work. I got to unpack some stuff that has happened to me, and I can't allow those things that happened to me to stop me from getting what God got. Because so many times, people are bad, got so many bags and stuff like that, they can never reach their destination because they're carrying all this. Yeah, so as I begin to unpack my life, unpack the trauma, unpack who left and who stayed, it began to help me to flourish. It began to help me, and then to realize that, man, I'm not alone. So many people are dealing with trauma that just don't say it. So I think me talking about it and going to counseling and start to help me to unpack it. And I feel like healing isn't something that just happened in a moment. You're not going to heal from a lifelong time of trauma in just one session. And so I'm still healing to this day. There are parts of me that has not been healed, and there are parts of me that may not 100% be healed until I leave here. And so I've just accepted that part, and to kind of just give myself grace. to walk through my healing process.
Okay, that's dope. It's powerful. You talked about, a lot of the things that happened to you when you were younger. What was it that made you want to start sharing the story now? Because I've seen it all the time. I remember being in high school, and you had that girl that's in 9th grade, and she got a dude that's 45 picking up from school, and people it's like normalized. But you yo, that's crazy. That's not right. That's not cool at all. Right. So a lot of people, when you try to speak out on it, they talk down on you for trying to even speak, because it's been normalized in certain households, communities. So what made you bold enough to speak out on it?
Yeah. Ultimately, it was God. It was destined for me. And I believe that I was the generational curse breaker. I believe that the molestation that took place in my family was happening way before we came. And I just believe that I was the one who wasn't afraid. And because I had left home early, I wasn't scared to lose nobody. I didn't have nobody. So for me to tell my story, it didn't matter whether they believed me or not. I knew the story. And another thing that I did was I protected those who played a part in it. So though I told my story, I never mentioned names. And I did that because I don't want to be spiteful. I don't want to hurt people. But I think it's important that we do tell our story, because so many people are broken. And then I felt like if I kept my mouth closed, it would be robbery to God, because it's nothing but the grace of God that I didn't commit suicide. I felt less than who I was as a woman. I felt worthy of nothing. I felt like I was literally marked as just a piece of meat to men. And I never recovered. I don't know what it feels like to even love a man because of what happened to me. So you imagine being young and having intercourse. They wasn't just, touching on me. We were having intercourse, and for years. And it was as if I was hunted down like prey. They introduced me to porno. They bought me for $20. It was life-changing. And in the midst of all of this, we were going to church, and not one time did a prophet say, hey, this is going on in your house. And so it was so hard for me to see that there was a God that would allow this thing to happen, and nobody said a word. And then when I began to tell my story, years later, people want to come out and say, hey, well, they told me y'all was having orgies. And my thing was, if you knew something and never said, I believe they're just as responsible for the actions that took place than the one who just did it too, And so it was so much that I had to go through, people saying I lied and different things like that. But I covered people that I didn't show their names. And I've even went to some of the people who played their part, and some before they left this earth, to let them know that I still love them. But we got an issue. We had a problem. I've had family fall in love with me, write me poems, And so it was devastating, man. It was devastating. And that's why I say, for me, basketball was just, I was free. I didn't think about nothing that was happening. I didn't think what I had to come back to. When I was in that court, in between those lines, I was totally free, man.
We would like to thank Concord Coffee for sponsoring this episode. Fuel your day with Concord Coffee, Florida's favorite local roaster. Whether you're grabbing a freshly brewed cup on the go or savoring a latte crafted by our skilled baristas, Concord Coffee is all about bringing you quality and community in every sip. Visit us at our Lakeland or Gainesville locations, or shop online to get your favorite beans delivered right to your door. Start your day the Concord way, because great coffee isn't just a drink, it's an experience. Concord Coffee, where craft meets community. Make sure to visit concordcoffee.com to learn more. I just want to, it's just a testament to not only God, but the work that you've done, just being strong, because I think back to when you just said it, people were telling you that you're lying. I see so many victims come out and tell their stories, and then they're talked down on and told that they're lying, and then they just immediately shut down and stop telling their story. Did that ever cross your mind at that point when people were, speaking down on you? It
did. It definitely crossed my mind. But I was so confident in God that I knew that whether they were going to believe me or not, I was going to tell the story. And I said that because I gave people the opportunity to listen to my story before I went viral and told the world about it. And nobody did nothing. Nobody said anything. They kind of were just like, hey, this isn't something you should talk about. I was told by some of my family, hey, you should have told me when you were a child. It's too late now. And so it broke my heart. But I did it because when I began to tell my story, so many people from all over the world would inbox me. My teammates would tell me stuff that they could never tell their parents. They would tell me stuff that nobody ever knew. And people trusted me. And so it was like I was a way that people knew. It was like I sounded an alarm. That these things that happen to you as a child is not okay.
Yeah.
I don't care under no circumstances. It's not okay. And if you can't talk about it, you can't tell the world, but tell somebody. People need to be free.
Yeah.
And what better way for people to be free than for people like you and me to walk them out of it? Whatever situations or circumstances, when you go through things and you walk out of that situation, not only you become a blueprint for the people that's coming after you.
You talked about the moment that you told your story online and it went viral.
Yeah.
Walk us through that process, because we talk about it. It's a lot of fear in that moment. You're going out and you're doing something that you've never done before, and you're sharing it with people that don't even know you. Right. You don't know what response you're going to get.
Right.
But your story went viral. Yeah.
So when I initially did it, Freddie, it was gone. I never knew it would go viral. I didn't know people would even listen. I remember walking in the park in Lake Wales, and I was frustrated that day because so many people were being hurt by church folk. And so my video was called Church Folk, right? And so many people say they love God until it's time to love his people, right? And so it's easy to love people when they do everything you think they should do. It's hard to love people when they don't look like what you think they should. And so many times people have missed the moment to minister to people who are different from them.
Yeah.
And I believe that God is calling for a people that is not going to care what someone else looks like, because they'll say, hey, this promiscuous woman, she's sleeping with everybody. But did you know she was molested? So a lot of people have issues based off what they've been through, not because that's who they want to be. And so I was so upset and just so hurt by people who say they love God and have misrepresented God. And a lot of times people just don't know. And so that day I said, man, the same people who were supposed to protect us and love us, they didn't do it. The church is a place that anybody should be able to come to broken, busted, and disgusted. And now people are afraid. Yeah. People think they have to come dressed up. And when I say dressed up, their spirit. People feel like they have to be a perfect person. And my thing is, if people were perfect telling me to be perfect, that's one thing. But it reminded me of the hypocrites that the Bible talked about, the Pharisees and the Sadducees, because they're asking for us to be a way that they are not. And my problem was I knew people had secrets and they were in the pulpit.
Yeah.
I knew that they've slept on their husband, they slept on their wives, and you judging my sin. And my problem was my sin may be different from yours, but we're both falling short of the glory of God. Right. So who are we to judge people because they sin differently?
That's one thing I'm very open about. Whenever we get into the faith talks on here, I just had my moment here yesterday. I'm very open. People that bother me, but I don't care. I'm bold. I'm bold in my faith. And one thing, I'll be open about my struggles, all of these different things, and people that don't understand it, like, oh, well, I thought you were. Yeah. Like, no, I'm messed up just like you. That's why I need God. For sure. And the problem is, I've seen way too many people, like you said. Yeah. They get saved, they change their life around, and then they act like they never did any of that stuff, and they judging somebody for doing the exact same thing that they did. Like, nah, man, I'm a testament of what God can bring you out of, but I want to remind you that I ain't a finished product yet. He's still working on me. I may have issues where I struggle with certain things. And my thing has always been like forgiveness. That's always been my thing, because I know, which I'm a lot better with it now, but even then, I know I got a lot more room to grow. For sure. But that's always been my thing, because I know how hard I go for people. For real. And I'm very open about that. I don't hide it. Yeah. And you got a lot of people, I feel like, in the church, they mask it. They're wearing masks all the time. People can't get no breakthrough until you tell your story. And for you, it's beautiful that you told your story, because I remember, we on Trials of Trying right now. I remember when I was coming out and I wrote my book. The book is ultimately how all this happened. It ended up becoming a bestseller. Yeah. And I remember I wrote the book, I was promoting it, and I was telling people, powerful story, all this stuff. But I'm in the book talking about how, after football and stuff, I'm selling drugs, making all this money.
Yeah.
But I'm not promoting that to the people because I want them to see Florida State, Freddie Stevenson played in the league, or doing all this positive stuff.
Yeah.
From the moment that I started telling my story and not being afraid of all the pushback, that's when people I didn't even expect jumped on the story. Like CEOs of corporations, they jumped like, man, we love that. We need you to come speak. The moment that I started being bold and trusting God, for you, the moment that you started being bold, people may not like it.
Right.
But God wants you to walk in your gift.
And he did it. He listen, he superseded. I woke up the next morning and one of my brothers was like, hey, did you see your Facebook? I didn't even know it went viral. And man, it said 8 million views. And one thing I believe, man, God will take you from the back and he'll put you in the front, And so it wasn't a me thing. It was a God thing, man.
It was all day. It's crazy because just literally yesterday, you see so many people that they want this mic for the wrong reasons.
True.
And they're like, man, like, why can't I go viral? Why can't they do this? Why can't you saying why you can't?
Yeah.
The times that I don't went viral on the internet, I promise you, I was not trying to.
Right.
I was posting to help somebody. Oh, man, this message is gonna help somebody out. Leave it there, going about my day. Just like you, it's like, yo, your page going crazy. But even with that, like, even my producers know, like certain stuff, like, man, I ain't thinking about that type of stuff. And it's weird because in this space, that's what you have. The people that are moved by people's thoughts of them, their opinion. Like, man, as long as God like me, I'm good.
That's all that matters.
I'm going to win regardless. But I believe that's why it's working for you.
Right.
And it's just the beginning of it.
No, for
because, man, I remember just talking with you, and we're gonna get into this at the end because we talked about something that you had worked on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I still believe that's something that you got to put out there and share with the world.
For sure.
But I want to get to the, ultimately the next part of your story, which we talked about the church. And you talked about, people that are being hurt by the church.
Right.
How did you go about that process of being able to forgive the church? Because I've seen people be hurt by the church and they haven't.
And don't go back.
They haven't been back
Don't go back. Man, I had a divine intervention from God. So once you be hurt so much, it's easy to shut down. It's easy to not believe. And for some people, they'll never believe until people like us show up and say, hey, I was hurt, but I had to forgive. And so I didn't understand the value in church no more. Because I'm like, man, if these people going to judge me, God, I got to go. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so I went through a dark season to where I was trying to walk alone spiritually, and I wasn't able to do it. I kept falling. And so God said, this is the purpose of the church. Now, the church that hurt you, which God didn't hurt us, it was people, first of all. Sometimes we misconstrued the church because the church is technically the temple of God, which is us, right? Not just the building. And I believe I had to separate people from God. And once I did that, I understood that it wasn't God who offended me. It was people. And just like when Jesus, sometimes it's like we read our word, but we don't really believe it. Because Jesus, the journey that he took, his own people took him to the cross.
Yeah, facts.
It was his people. It wasn't no outsiders. It was the people who said they believe. And God began to walk me through that. He said, hey, it happened to him. Who are we to be exempt from this? You know what I'm saying? They say the prophet is not honored in his own home. Jesus was not honored. He couldn't even do works where he was from because people didn't believe it and they thought he was just a carpenter's son. And so for me, I had to separate that. And once I was able to do that, I was able to see that the people that hurt me aren't the people I need to go back to, but I need to find me a church. Find me people who can help me, who can walk me through some stuff, who can give me advice. Pastor Chris, he's out of Edgewater, and my uncle, James Hill, man, they walked me through some seasons. They walked me through some stuff. I would call them 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. Hey, I need some advice. Hey, I'm trying to, sort this scripture. And I think just surrounding yourself with people. And really, when you walk your journey out with God, your personal relationship, and your offense won't offend you anymore. Because what people did, they did it, and it's a done deal. You give it to God, he can handle all things above you. And I think being able to really have a real relationship, because some people say, hey, I got a relationship with God. But you really don't, because when you have a real relationship with God, he's going to convict you. He's going to let you know, listen, you got to forgive. And what happens is if you don't forgive people, God won't forgive you. And so when I look at my life, I'm not perfect. I've fallen short of the glory of God. I've done things unseemly. I've made some bad decisions. And I need God's grace and I need his forgiveness. And so it was easy for me, not spiritually, to be able to forgive people, even though my flesh wanted to say I never want to talk to him again. But because I say I love God, I'm no different from them if I do what they do. So I had to forgive, and that's what helped me, just my relationship with God and him convicting me like, listen, I know they hurt you, but forgive them. Because what better way is it for you to show them what Christ really is like and not what they've done to you?
You talked about not experiencing like true love from family growing up, but now you're a mother of a beautiful little girl.
Yeah.
What does it feel like? Because kids, man, we can fall down a million times. Our kids gonna still
sure.
love us, man. How does that feel for you to experience a true love from a individual person now?
I wouldn't say I wasn't loved as a child. I would say I wasn't loved unconditionally.
Okay.
They loved me depending on the condition, right? Long as I was doing things. But as a mother, to be able to experience unconditional love, when she looks at me, I'm perfect to her, even though I'm imperfect. Man, it's the greatest blessing from God to be a mother, to get to experience that. And not only that, it get to do it over. So what I was robbed of, I can give to my daughter. I can love her no matter what flaws she has, what issues she has. And I can walk with her through her journey of life as long as God give me a blessing to be alive. That was the game changer for me. I never knew what it felt like to go and have a spa day with my mom. And I take my daughter, we go get our feet done together. I get her nails done. We have dinner dates, we have lunch dates. And so those type of things meant so much because I needed it as a woman. And I believe I was robbed of that. And I remember the day that I had my daughter, I knew at that moment that I made a decision to be a mom. And that when people have children, they have to make a decision. And if you don't make that decision, I felt like you chose not to. And so you need that. And I just feel like it's just an honor that, she don't have to go through what I went through. She would never be able to feel those things. And I get to do life with her.
That's beautiful. Man, it's powerful. I want you to talk about some of the work that you're doing now in the world. Because like I said, I said that we were talking to my production team, my team behind the scenes, the guys that make everything happen. Like, man, I need to get some more powerful women on. People reaching out, hey, man, you got too many men on. You ain't doing no women.
Yeah.
Like, now we had women on the first one. I was like, all right, I know exactly who got a powerful story that the world need to hear. But I want you to talk about some of the stuff that you're doing in the community to make an impact.
Man, so I'm doing a lot. I was blessed to be a part of the organization, Boys and Girls Club, here in Bartow is where I started at as an assistant. And then I got an opportunity by Coach Borders. He hired me as the director once he left. And I was able to get out there, man, and really help the community out in different ways, whether it was giving them food, helping families who didn't have, two-parent homes, with different stuff. And when I started out, we had 30 kids. We average 100 now. And I'm going to get them. And so one thing I specialize in is high school kids. So if you notice, there's no programs for high school students. They might have certain things that happen throughout the year, but there's nothing, a consistent thing that happens for them. And I believe we need to fulfill that gap. And so for me, I remember in high school, not having that support really, changed the trajectory of where I could have been. And so to be that support to them has really been, a blessing, whether it's taking them on college visits, showing them about FAFSA, introducing them to different trades, because some kids may not want to go to college. And we had a big program. Some of my kids, I taught them how to drive. They got their license, different things like that, bought their first car. So, I'm really invested in God's people, and whatever I can do to be a vessel to help them, I'm willing to do it by all means necessary. So I go over beyond the call of duty, more than what I get paid to do. I really love what I do.
That's I know it's, man, you're one of the real ones out here doing it for sure. That actually got a passion, that's doing it for the right reasons.
For sure.
I know last time, well, not the last time, one of the first times we had opportunity to sit down and talk. You were telling me about a project that you had completed, and I told you, let me know when it's ready so that I can go grab it. That project, you still on live, right? Yeah. So she was telling me about a book that she wrote. You were telling me about a book that you wrote. I was like, all right, let me know when you release it. Yeah. Still ain't got that text. Yeah. So for you, I don't know, because I know at the time you kind of were reserved, and part of it may be fear, and then part of it is maybe just as a person that's selfless. Sometimes we always push ourselves to the back burner and always try to push everybody in. I think two things I want to give to you as advice. You saw the side of it when you were scared to tell your story and how it blew up. Just putting yourself out there, not because you wanted to go viral or anything, but God allowed your message to make an impact on the world. You went viral. Second part, sometimes we dim our light, we push people forward, but I think in the long run, we end up hurting them more than we help them when we do that, especially when God has given us a gift to impact generations. When you're a selfless person, you think, okay, I just want to see these people win. But when God is giving you the gift, sometimes you're the one that got to open the door. So for you, if that's what's reserving you, I say go out with it, because you got an audience that's ready to hear you, and they're going to push you to the world. They've already shown it. A person that they didn't know they heard the story, they continue to share it because they thought that other people should hear the story as well. So if that's what's holding you back, understand, when you put this book out, it's going to inspire other people to tell their stories. Your story went viral once, it can go viral again, continue to go viral. Now it's going to encourage other people to share their story and walk in their true power. I got a story about the cheeseburger. I go share it any time in the year. It's going to do numbers. Because it's a powerful story. Don't be discouraged and think that, oh man, it went viral a few years ago. Your story, like, all it takes is one person to share it. Next thing you know, it's two. So walk in it. That book ain't been released. Like, if y'all on the live, put it in the comments, release that book. We need it. We need it. So before we get out of there, I just had to say that to you. Like, release that book. I'm looking forward to it, because not just on socials, when I had the opportunity to connect with you, and I believe that's, why I was there for that short period of time. Like, when I left, I was like, man, I really believe God has a plan behind everything. And I just seen different things, and I sat and I prayed on it that night before I decided to move forward. And God, I was at peace. So I was like, all right, I know it's time to move forward. But when I left, you were the person that, of course, you and Mr. Avery, y'all the ones that reached out to me. When you reached out to me, that was confirmation of what God had already told me. I was just waiting for, sometimes we wait for that sign from God when he done already gave it to us. When you reached out, I was like, all right, we're going to be in touch again soon. I already know it because you reached out. So now it's me, like, this platform, I'm similar to you. I'm the type of person on the field, man, I'm like, yo, coach, give him the ball. Even though I probably deserve the ball on this play, I can make things happen with it. And that's how I live my life. I would always try to take the back seat. And the people like, yo, what you doing? Like, you the one. Like, go move forward. And I'm like, nah, I don't want it. I don't want it. And I've continued to fall on my face because of that. But now that I'm starting to move in it and stop being, I wouldn't say scared. It's just I've always walked. Like, I've always wanted to see other people win. As long as I'm straight, I'm good. But God's like, nah. I want you to walk in, and you're going to be the reason that a lot of people are able to get into these doors. So for you, that's really what I want to say to you, because you're going to tell your story across the world. And I'm not just talking about it on social media. It's going to be people hitting you up, telling you, like, come speak. We want you to come speak at our event. We want you to come across the country to this country. We want to talk to Jermisha McRae. And I remember you were talking behind the scenes, like, what do you got to do, to get speaking engagement and all that stuff. And while I'm in the industry, you have a lot of experts in the industry. You see a lot of people that got the perfect game plan, all of this stuff. They can't get booked. You got to have a story. And your story I've seen people, it's not that they done anything better than any of these other people that can't get booked. Their story went viral. Now everybody want them to come in. So it's about you telling your story. And once you continue to put it out there, and I'm talking about the book, because you're telling it every day on social media, but the world needs your book.
I got you.
Because you're going to be sharing it. I'm telling you, you're going to be sharing it. I know it.
I receive that.
You're going to be sharing it across the world. Not just the country, across the world. What you're doing right now, God knows he can trust you. You've shown it. God knows he can trust you. So when you go to this next season, walk in it. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. And remember what you went through. Because there's going to be times that you get discouraged. We all do. It's a new season. Going to run into roadblocks. I done fell on my face 1,000,000 times. And I done got to the point where I done lost so much and God done picked me back up so much. It's like, shoot. They think I'm crazy now when I'm losing. It's like, man, Freddie, you ain't got nothing. Why you smiling? Because I know I'm right around the corner for that next win.
For sure, man.
And you going to win big.
I appreciate
Receive it. Walk in it.
For sure.
So comments, I hope y'all tell her, write that book, release that book.
I got you.
Release that book because it's time. You've been running from it. So I just been sitting back and I just been waiting for the opportunity to talk with you about it. Release that book.
It. For sure. Definitely. It's definitely coming. And different things held me up from it. I didn't know if I was ready. I told the Lord I didn't want to do it out of hate or frustration. But because it's going to shout a lot on things that some people ain't really ready to face with my family. But like you said, I kind of been running from it because to whom much is given, much is required. And I just didn't know if I was, so many people, like you said, want this mic and spotlight. But I don't want to mess up what God got going on. And I just want to be ready. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that I can do it God's way and not my way.
I think looking at your journey, I definitely understand that because you see the side of it where people are speaking out from a bitter place, but the fact that you didn't mention any names in it, that speaks volumes. Yeah, you telling us, I'm a firm believer that everybody should tell their story. Yeah, because it does two things. It's a release for you, and it helps somebody else. Right. So you doing that while also protecting people. Yeah. Like, most people, they're going to try to expose everybody that was involved. Right. And I'm not saying that they're wrong for that because I do feel like people should have to answer for their wrongs. But at the same time, I got to walk in what God called me to do. I don't want to mess up my peace. True. So if it would mess with your peace, shoot, don't speak on it. Right. So I respect you for even doing that. But at this point, it's like, at this point, now I just feel like you hurting what God got for you. You delaying it because it's some blessings God had for you years ago that you delayed just because you were hesitant. He's telling you to go. And you know it. You know it. He's telling you go. You're like, man, nah, I don't know. It ain't no questions involved. Should be asked. Right. When he telling you go. You're going to win. No, I receive so at this point, it's time.
I receive that. No, I appreciate that, man.
And I just encourage you to pray about it. And whenever it's time, just let me know.
I got you. I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you pulling up on me.
For sure, anytime.
Coming out of the Jermisha episode, just a very good talk with her. Very important story. It's always nice hearing from people, who have such a powerful story like that and get their perspective on trials and triumphs and everything. But no, it was a great conversation. How have you been, Freddie?
And I've been good, man. What about yourself?
Been good. My fiance's out of town this week on a cruise, so I've just been like watching a lot of TV.
Yeah, man. I don't know what to do with my fiance. Whenever my fiance is gone and then she has the kids with her, man, I'm bored.
Oh yeah. Yes. Yeah,
you want free time, but it's different getting free time that you didn't plan for. Yeah, it's the worst.
Yeah, exactly. I literally have just been like, I watched all of Squid Games, and I watched like 3 Jurassic Park movies last night just because I'm trying to grind through them to watch the new one coming out this weekend. But in the world of sports, NBA free agency has been insane. Yeah. Damian Lillard got cut by the Bucks and stretched. I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't think he ever wanted to be there in the first place.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you're going from Portland to Milwaukee.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's a lateral move. I don't know. We'll see where he ends up. Supposedly he might be back because he tore his Achilles in such an interesting spot in the season. Supposedly he might be back for the playoffs next year. So it's rumored that the Warriors are talking to him.
Steph and Dame on the same team.
And Jimmy.
Oh, man.
And Draymond.
Did you hear the report that there's a report that came out that the Warriors were interested in trading up to go get Walt?
Yeah, I did see that. I mean, shout out Walt too, getting drafted 17th to the Utah Jazz. I didn't have this in a rundown, but I just talking about it a little bit. I think that's a perfect fit for him. I mean, Utah, it's a weird market, but Will Hardy is a good coach. Came from the Boston system. And you can tell he's got some fight in every team that he has, even if they are not a good team. And that team's going to be good because now they've got Ace Bailey, Walt, they've got Kessler, who's an insanely good big. and then Lauri Markkanen still. Mm-hmm. They're shedding some of the fat at guard. Got rid of Colin Sexton, bought out Jordan Clarkson, but we'll see. I feel like that's a good spot because I feel like unless something crazy happens, Walt could easily be a day one starter. And seeing the workouts that he's doing with these guys, I don't know if you saw that.
No, I've been watching the workouts. Walt was just a guy in general, man. Just watching his career, of course, and being from this area. Every single year I've seen him take tremendous leaps forward.
Yep.
So I expect that to continue. I know his work ethic. I know he wants to be great. It's one thing to talk about being great, but actually put the work in behind the scenes.
Yeah.
That's what he does.
No, he puts the work in behind the scenes. He puts the work in behind the scenes, not just physically, but mentally too. He's a head down worker, really trying to work on his game in every facet. It was so fun seeing his metamorphosis from Iona to the first Gator season to the last Gator season where he won the championship to now being drafted just outside of the lottery. Like I said, I was hoping that someone would take a chance on him in the early parts of the draft, and honestly 17 to the Utah Jazz is perfect. Got another young player in Ace Bailey. It's just a great situation. He'll get some good playing time. He'll really be able to learn and build upon his skill set and figure it out. Talking about other moves, Houston, we talked about them getting Kevin Durant, but they've extended a bunch of players. They brought DFS in, Dorian Finney-Smith. They keep making these moves. It seems like they're in a win now mentality, which when you have like a 30-something-year-old KD, kind of have to be. Indiana, big gut check. The reason why Damian Lillard gets cut from the Bucks is because they get Miles Turner. Miles Turner, a huge part of the Indiana Pacers finals run. You gotta kind of think, should they have traded him? He's been in trade rumors for like 5 years. Should they have traded him? They didn't get anything back. Should they have traded him? Should they have signed him for a higher amount? Should they have gotten rid of people? So now you've got no Halliburton for a year, no Miles Turner. All they've got Siakam and Mathurin and Nembhard and all these guys. That team all of a sudden becomes a little bit desperate to rebuild after Halliburton. I think you'll see that they're going to do moves similar to what the Celtics are doing, where they're trading away all these big contracts and trying to get assets. The world of the NBA is nuts. These contracts are insane.
Yeah.
SGA gets extended. Saw a crazy figure that SGA's 70-something million is more than the entire Miami Marlins payroll.
He deserved it, man. He had a great year.
Oh, yeah. But
2 years.
You could also say that that's the first domino falling in the dynasty that could be Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah.
Because 2 years they got to pay Jalen and Chet. So it's gonna
be interesting. And you said could be dynasty. I felt the same way with your Celtics coming in last year, but that plays a huge.
Oh yeah.
That health plays a huge part in it, man. I feel like if the Celtics were healthy, they would have been holding up that trophy this year. Just looking at everything, because when the Celtics had Porzingis and he was healthy, I just felt like that was the piece that made them unstoppable. So him being unhealthy last year, I really think hurt you guys. So it's the same thing with OKC, man.
Yeah.
If they can't stay healthy, then you don't know. But that's a lot. It goes into the game. You got to have a lot of things fall on your side.
Yeah, and Jaylen Brown, coming out that he had something going on too health wise. Drew Holiday getting traded. He didn't play super well. There's rumors that he might have been dealing with a health issue. So it's like the Celtics were just extremely unhealthy. And you can see now that they're kind of shifting their focus to like see what we can do in the future instead of just spinning the tires with a high payroll team. The problem too is we sold. So it's like the Grosbecks sold the team to another family, and no one's gonna pay the payroll. That with the way that the aprons are working and the way that like the taxes are working for the NBA, it was like if we kept both Porzingis and Drew, we would go so far over the aprons and the tax that we would pay like triple their salaries. So getting rid of them means that we don't have to pay that, which is understandable, but also upsetting if you look at our potential. Almost had a mini dynasty due to injury.
Yeah, I was excited about seeing what you guys would be able to do, but no, it happens.
Yeah, and the Oklahoma City Thunder are poised to be that, but we'll see how they do salary wise. That's the craziest part about sports, is you can have these amazing teams, but if people don't want to sign for less money, or
shout out Tom Brady.
I mean, honestly, that you see that with the Patriots, 3 or 2 separate dynasties where Tom Brady signs for less, and therefore we're able to bring people in for 1-year deals and re-sign people. I believe Tom Brady taking that lower pay cut helped us keep Donta Hightower for a few more years, and that was, he was one of the catalysts for us winning that Falcons Super Bowl. Yeah, sports in general are just nuts. NFL's been kind of crazy. We see Darren Waller comes out of retirement and gets traded to the Miami Dolphins.
From the booth back to the field.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's
Darren Waller may be the first NFL player to have playing in the NFL with one of his songs on the Madden game.
I mean, his song's kind of fire. I'm not gonna lie. It was. My buddy is a huge Giants fan, and he was like, "What the heck? Like, you quit in the middle of a bill." He literally wasn't in an interview like saying, "Oh, I decided to quit after playing this Bills game."
Yeah, they sent him on a counter play like 3 times in the game.
Yeah, and then he like comes out of retirement and is now playing for the Dolphins. Like, that's crazy. I understand like that South Beach kind of calls you. You want to go play there, but. We'll see how he does. I mean, he's a dog. He's got a crazy story, too. A little bit of a fumbling problem. Shout out Kelsey Plum. But, yeah, that was crazy. The Dolphins just kind of making moves all the way around. Sort of inspired my 2 football guys of the week for this week. But they got Minka Fitzpatrick back and gave away Jalen Ramsey. And then in a separate transaction that is being labeled as the same transaction, they traded Jonnu to the Pittsburgh Steelers for a late round pick swap. So it's a weird. They're trying to get some salary back. They're trying to change the vibe up a little bit. Jonnu Smith going back with Arthur Smith, who famously made him, that dude, that kind of tight end in Tennessee. Yeah. I love Jonnu Smith. It sucked when the Patriots couldn't use him.
Man. He might end up as one of our football guys of the week one week.
Oh, 100%. I've got a soft spot for tight ends. But yeah, he goes there. Jalen Ramsey looks like he might be playing some safety.
Man, he talked about it a few years ago. Jalen said, he was in an interview, he was talking about how he looks at Woodson as one of the best DBs of all time. Just because he started at corner, played a little nickel, and moved back to safety. And Jalen's always been a guy that can play all over the field. And I do believe, if he doesn't play corner this year, Jalen plays safety, he immediately becomes one of the top safeties in the league right away. He's that gifted, and he's going to extend his career even longer and be able to play at a high level, even into his late 30s. Because he's that type of player, and just instinctive, and he makes the team better as a whole once he's on it.
100%. I mean, and I feel like that's like the natural progression for these elite corners, these elite defensive backs. Richard Sherman played a few seasons as safety, towards the end of his career. It's a no-brainer, especially when you got a guy that has been as locked down as Jalen Ramsey. He knows the game. The Steelers look terrifying. Yeah. That Joey Porter Jr., all of them. It's kind of a slay, And
it's tough, Deshaun. Man. The year I root for so many different people, but I really wanted to see like Lamar get him one. But it's like, dang, everybody else is like, you got to get it while that window's there, because it closes every year, and like the Bills are gonna be better. The Chiefs are gonna try to make them a run. Like, everybody's gonna be better this year.
I mean, but then you look at the Ravens. They got Jair Alexander.
Yeah, that's a huge pickup.
They're still running with Henry, and like they've got all these other pieces. We'll see. I mean, like, this is gonna be a weird season because it feels like everybody's kind of like shifted up. You know,
it's gonna be great for fans. Fans for sure.
100%. And I mean, in my head, and I figure this will be another segment for another episode, but in my head, that's one of the best storylines is the Steelers. You know, because Aaron Rodgers goes there, they see 2 weeks of practice, and they start trading for people. You know, this is the first time they've had a quote unquote elite quarterback in the building in a while, unless you count Russ, which Russ was kind of bouncing back from stuff. Rodgers is too, but we've seen historically the Achilles injury is like a 1.5 year injury in the NFL, you know, for every position. So we'll see how it works out. This past weekend, we were just talking off air about Deontay Wilder, you know, had a nice TKO knockout. It was an interesting fight. I'll be honest, the stream of the fight was a little bit lackluster in my head.
I thought I was like, hold on, is this a real fight? When I saw it, I was like, okay.
The quality was weird, right? I don't know what's up with that. In my head, when Deontay Wilder's fighting, I'm like, okay, well, this needs to be like the tippy top. And like that promotion might just be, you know, developing and making it better. But still, you know, it was an interesting fight. Weird back and forth, but Wilder gets a TKO. Hopefully he gets like a interesting fight next. And then we were talking about the UFC fights. Crazy card. International Fight Week is usually a crazy card. This was shaping up to be kind of like a card, and then the last 3 fights were insane.
Yeah.
Josh Vaughn
versus
Royval. It was like both fighters had like almost 300 strikes, like just throwing it. That 3-round fight.
That's what I love to see, though.
Vaughn also took the fight 3 weeks' notice after having won recently, getting ranked. He wasn't ranked. He got ranked 12. He takes a 3-week notice fight against Brandon Royval, who is ranked 1. He's the number 1 contender if he wins, and he beats him. He wins 29-28 on most cards, just outstriking him. And then the next fight on the card was Pantoja versus Kai Kara France, and Pantoja just like starches him, subs him, gets it done, and then they put Vaughn in the cage. So Vaughn is going to go from no rank like a month ago to now he's the number 1 contender, and they have already said he's going to fight for the title. He's 23. He's 23 years old. He's going to be the first person to fight for a title born in the 2000s. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
And then, of course, the highlight knockout of Oliveira by Topuria. It was honestly upsetting to watch. Just how...
Yeah, it caught me off guard.
How quick. Topuria is a different animal. I respected him, but I respect him even more now. We'll see what's next for him. I hope it's like a big Spain card. He's from Spain. It would just be fun to watch him fight a big fight in like a Spanish arena.
Yeah, I feel like every huge fighter, they need to have one main event in their hometown, wherever they're from, just to get that love from that wherever they grew up at. I think every great fighter needs to do it, and the ones that don't get the opportunity, man, I think it's a major disservice to them. Yeah,
I feel like that's almost every athlete's dream. You know, whether it's fighting, whether it's football, whether it's baseball, if you play for or in your hometown, that's it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I know for you, like playing in Florida in general.
Yeah.
You know, probably. I mean, you played Miami a couple of times too. You were a big Miami fan as a kid.
Yeah, so playing in Miami was always a big week. And then, of course, coming back closer to home, we got to play USF. That was big because everybody's literally at that game. So that was more like a home game for me than Florida State was.
Yeah. See how many of your family you can get in the door.
Yeah.
That must have been just such a fun thing. Yeah. So seeing like, I think Europe too for fighting is such an interesting place because it's very similar to like Mexico or these South American countries where it's like if you put a fighter that is from there sells out instantly. Brazil, it's such a cool concept. Just put like because Topuria being such a big star. I mean, he's got 10.3 million followers on Instagram.
All right.
And he's massive. He's not huge in the United States, but he's massive globally. So it's like they've got another international superstar. They don't have a Conor McGregor similar to what they had, in the United States, but people are starting to notice. Mm-hmm. And he's like one or two more fights to being like labeled the greatest of all time, and he's 28. So we'll see what happens there. Lots of fun fantasy booking. Yeah, I mean, like outside of that, NBA free agency is still going strong. LeBron opted in, but also people are saying that he might want to be traded eventually. We'll see. I hear Mavs and Cavs. Those are the two spots that people want to see him in, or that he supposedly wants to be, because then he could play with Kyrie and AD again.
I want to see him with Kyrie again.
And then, but also he could go home to a team that, I mean, right now the East is kind of wide open.
Hey, LeBron and Cooper Flag. That'd be interesting.
That's part of it too. I don't even know how he would get there. They'd have to trade something crazy.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
But the rumor is that he is monitoring the Lakers offseason super closely just to make sure that he wants to stay in stay in LA, because the Buses having traded or having sold the team kind of took them by surprise. But one thing I didn't talk about too is Michael Porter Jr. getting traded to the Nets for Cam Johnson.
Yeah, I missed that.
It's crazy. The Nuggets are just retooling. They brought Cam Johnson in. They brought Bruce Brown back. A couple other pretty big signings on their end. But these the NBA is, the contracts are kind of weird this year, just because there's not a lot of cap flexibility with the new rules kind of taking place. So we're seeing almost the opposite of when Evan Turner and all those guys made a crazy amount of money. Like people were just throwing Timothy Mozgov like $30 million. We're seeing like the opposite of that, where it's, you see this dude signing an extension and it's only for like 15, and you're like, wait, he would have been like Naz Reid signed like a $20 million a year deal. And in the open market, you're like, well, he could have got 30, 35. But I guess because of the new contract, it's completely shifted the mentality. But that all being said, that gives us to our football guys of the week.
Yeah.
Would you like to go first?
Yeah, I switched my guys up this week. I changed from one after seeing the top 100 numbers this week. I didn't like what I saw. One of the guys that I feel like is grossly underrated since he's come into the NFL is Levante David. Levante David has been consistent since he's come in. He's been dominant. And this is crazy to say at the linebacker position, because it's such a violent position. Like, football is violent in general, but the linebacker is one of the most violent players on the field. But it's like watching art in motion when you're watching Levante David play. A guy that can call out everything that the offense is doing, put the defense in great positions to succeed, can blitz, can cover, can stop the run, can do all of these different things. And even at his age now, he's still playing at a high level. I remember when they played the Chiefs that year in the Super Bowl, and those guys shut down Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Levante David was a big part of that. Like, he's always been dominant. And he has a few All-Pros to his name, but then he never gets the love that he deserves from the Pro Bowl. Like, they never vote him in, and I get that it's a lot of politics involved and all of that stuff, but it's time to start giving this man his flowers. Like, he's dominant every year. He's doing his thing every year, and I hate to see him getting swept under the rug like he's not a baller that he is. Yeah. But the second one that I want to do, he's not underrated. He's a Hall of Famer. But this guy, I truly feel like, although he has had to overcome adversity, Terrell Davis, going late in the draft and being at the bottom of the depth chart, we know how he was at the bottom, and he ended up starting by the end of the rookie year, going over 1,000 yards. But I truly believe that Terrell Davis has one of the best Super Bowl performances ever. And I say that as a person that had migraines. So I hear the story of him having a migraine in the Super Bowl. And for you guys that don't understand what migraines feel like, and you're like, oh, this guy's talking about we got Joe Montana. No, migraines are chilling. It's like pressure being pushed out of your head. You have, your vision is blurry, it's dark. You can't see. Your body feels like you have the flu. I know you guys love like the flu game in basketball. I feel like this is not just one of the best performances in football in NFL sports. Period. Like that's like you feel like you have the flu. Mm-hmm. Your body's weak. It's like a chilling feeling going through your body. You feel like you're about to die. And kind of to give you an example of this, like to kind of put it into your mind, I played it with a migraine my junior year, I think, no, my sophomore year against Louisville. And I'm a fullback. I don't have to run the ball every play. The only reason I was able to stay into that game is because Louisville had red numbers on that jersey. So I was able to see the red. And at the end of the game, there's literally a moment where they throw me the ball and I catch it, but I don't know where the ball is. I'm like just hoping. I put my arms out. I'm not even trying to catch it with my hands. I'm like, all right, if it hits my chest, I'm going to just, so I clamp it. And I'm running down the field, and I guess there's only one defender down there, but I have two blockers, Rashad Green and Nick O'Leary. But mind you, with a migraine, you're seeing like triple. I think I see three guys, so I run all the way across the field, almost get tackled. I end up scoring, but I made it hard on myself. Like, so you got to deal with your vision being all feeling weak, all of these different things. And Terrell Davis put up numbers in that Super Bowl and won MVP. So for me, that's my football guy of the week, and not just my football guy of the week. I feel like that's one of the best performances in sports history ever out of all sports. He needs more credit for that. I don't think people understand what comes with a migraine, but that's impressive to me. He's a dog.
No, 100%. Terrell Davis, animal. He's an absolute animal. That's, I mean, if there's ever been a football guy, he's number one of the number one. Especially at that position, you know, being a running back, having to, you know, power through something like that, constant contact. It's not like a situation where you can kind of like not make contact or like be a little weary. It's like you're gonna always get hit. Mm-hmm. You know, if you're gonna be the one in the play, you're always gonna get hit.
And migraine to make you like in the situation. I ain't gonna lie to you. You got a migraine. I'll tell you, you feel like you got the flu. You get hit the wrong way. You go stop. But he powered through it. Like
yeah, no, that's a spectacular one. And then Levante David also absolute animal, should be a future Hall of Famer. In my book, you know, got that Super Bowl leading tackler for many, many years on the Bucks. Just one of those guys, Bobby Wagner-esque, where he's just a dude. Doesn't necessarily need to hit as hard, but he's more of, like you said, it's like watching art. It's like poetry in motion. The way he moves, the way he reads, he moves his hips. You know, it's just he's a ultimate preparer. Very, very good one. I took mine. I took my two football guys, and I made it because of all the Dolphins moves. Made me think about Dolphins defensive players. My first one is Cameron Wake.
Okay, Cameron Wake. Yeah.
Undrafted, played 2 years in the CFL, came to the NFL, played 10 seasons in the NFL, 9 with the Dolphins, 1 with the Titans, ended up with 100.5 sacks. And if you took his sacks from the 2 years he was playing for the BC Lions, he would have 139.5. He had 39 in 2 seasons in the CFL. Absolute dog. Undrafted out of Penn State.
Can't wait.
He's one of those dudes. I always mention Madden because that's honestly how I got into the nitty gritty of football. He was always a free agent because he was just older. And I would always pick him up, and he'd get me like 10 sacks in a season, and I'd be like, I'd hope that he wouldn't retire, and I'd just keep bringing him in. Just an absolute animal, just a very fun, cool story. Just kind of powering through, just not being able to get that opportunity in the beginning, and then just really, really taking it and seizing it once he got it. And then my second guy is another Dolphins player. Safety Rashad Jones.
Yeah, Rashad Jones. I remember Rashad Jones. Yeah,
he's another dog. He's the same boat. He was drafted in the 5th round out of Georgia. Played for like 9 seasons. Him and Cam Wake were like the exact same time frame playing in the NFL. 2-time Pro Bowl. He's just one of those dudes. He was a very consistent safety. One of those. He's a stopgap safety where he got a lot of tackles. Almost 600 total tackles, or 600 solo tackles in his career. 21 interceptions. You know, he's just an animal all over the field. He's another situation where in Madden he would be towards the tail end of his years or of his lifespan in the NFL, I'd bring him in. He'd just consistently be my safety.
You enforce on that defense.
Yeah. I think there's a few positions where you really where having a veteran presence is nice. I feel like the defensive line, if you have one veteran presence like a Calais Campbell or a Cam Wake or a Marcus Golden, or if you have at least one of your two safeties, one of the free safety or the strong safety, having someone be a vet, just putting them in there, it helps the vibes of the defense. Just even in a video game. So he was a dog, and it was. I mean, all of these guys embody, what being a football guy is. But as we're getting closer to football, it's nice to think about all these dudes that at least deserve some recognition. But yeah, I mean, unless you have anything else, I think that kind of wraps it up.
Yeah, I think that's it for me.
Would love to thank Concord Coffee and Indie Atlantic Films, as always, and we're excited to keep bringing you great episodes.